Let's cut through the noise, because every man watching this needs to hear this clearly. When a woman starts pulling away, when she stops texting back, when her energy changes and she suddenly becomes distant, 99% of men panic. They chase, they call more, they try harder. And guess what? That only makes things worse. You lose your power, you lose your self-respect, and you give her the confirmation she was looking for, that she's in control and you're desperate. Now let's be honest. It hurts. You care about her, you had a connection, you saw potential, and now she's acting cold, distant, or flat out ignoring you like you never mattered. That shift can make a man question his worth, his confidence, even his masculinity. But here's what you need to understand. Her distance isn't always about you. It's a test. Sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's strategic, sometimes it's just her chasing a new high. But how you respond is everything. This video isn't about reacting emotionally. It's about teaching you how to respond like a man with options, value, and backbone. Because when you handle her silence the right way, you flip the script. You become the one she starts thinking about again, the one she begins chasing, and the one who shows that his world doesn't stop because of one woman's emotional shift. This is for the man who's tired of feeling confused, frustrated, and powerless when a woman distances herself. I'm going to give you clear, actionable strategies that work. Not in some fantasy world, but in today's dating game where attention is currency and emotional control is power. Let's get into it. Here's exactly what you should do when a woman distances herself and ignores you. 1. Do not chase her. The biggest mistake a man can make when a woman starts ignoring him or pulling away is chasing her. It feels like the natural thing to do. She pulls back, so you move forward. She becomes silent, so you send longer messages. She gets cold, and you try to warm her up with compliments, gifts, and effort. But what you don't realize is that chasing her at this stage actually confirms everything she was unsure about, and it lowers your value in her eyes. When a woman distances herself, she's either testing your emotional strength, losing attraction, or simply entertaining other options. And if you respond with emotional desperation, it only proves that you don't have options yourself. A high-value man doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't try to force connection. He lets people show him who they are and moves accordingly. You need to understand how attraction works. Women are not attracted to men they pity. They are attracted to men who are confident enough to walk away if their energy isn't being matched. So when she ignores you or distances herself, you do not panic. You don't call her 3 times. You don't double text. You don't watch all her stories and wait for a sign. That's what emotionally weak men do. And women know it. Instead, let her feel your absence. Let her feel what it's like not to have your presence, your attention, your energy. Because when you don't chase, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability creates curiosity. Curiosity leads to interest. And interest reignites attraction. The key is to pull your energy back without a single word of drama or confrontation. Just stop chasing. Let your actions communicate everything. If she's not texting, neither are you. If she's not showing interest, neither do you. You are not a mind reader, and you're not going to play games. But you are going to protect your self-worth. That means if she wants distance, you respect it, and match it without bitterness. This is not about being toxic or manipulative. It's about self-control. A man who chases is giving her all the power. A man who doesn't chase forces her to sit with her decision. And in that silence, she'll start to wonder. Why didn't he react? Why didn't he reach out? What is he doing now? That's when the power begins to shift. That's when you go from being the rejected to the respected. So the first and most critical move when she distances herself or ignores you is simple. Do not chase her. Not emotionally, not physically, not digitally. Stand your ground and let your absence speak louder than any message ever could. 2. Focus on yourself immediately. Now that you've stopped chasing, the next move isn't to sit around overthinking or stalking her online. The next move is to shift every ounce of your attention back to yourself. Your mind, your body, your money, your goals. Because here's the truth. When a woman pulls away, it creates an emotional gap. Most men rush to fill that gap with more thoughts of her. They replay the last text. They analyze every word. They ask friends for advice. But none of that helps you. What helps is redirecting your energy into something that builds you up instead of breaking you down. This is the phase where you must become selfish in the best way possible. Take all that mental space she used to occupy and fill it with something that makes you more powerful. Go harder in the gym. Double down on your business or your job. Upgrade your look. Reinvent your daily routine. Not to make her regret losing you, but because you owe that version of yourself to you. You're not doing it for her. You're doing it because you are the prize, and it's time to act like it again. Women are deeply intuitive. They can feel when a man's world revolves around them, and that's when they lose respect. But when they feel like you've refocused and your life is moving with or without them, that's when they start paying attention again. That's when they begin to realize you're not just another guy clinging for validation. You are a man with purpose, direction, and value, and that's magnetic. You need to stop trying to win her back and start working on becoming the kind of man she regrets walking away from. That means showing discipline. That means putting your emotions in check. That means turning your pain into productivity. And the best part? While you're leveling up, she's watching. Maybe silently, maybe from a distance. But believe me, she's noticing. And the better you become, the more her silence starts working against her. Let's make something clear. This isn't a tactic to make her miss you, even though it probably will. This is about reclaiming your identity. Too many men lose themselves in relationships. They stop doing the things that made them attractive in the first place. They become emotionally dependent, then shocked when she pulls away. You can't let that be you. Her silence is not your cue to chase. It's your signal to elevate. So let the distance be your trigger for transformation. Not sadness, not confusion, not weakness, but strength. If she comes back, cool. If she doesn't, you'll be 10 times better than you were when she left. Either way, you win. Because the moment you shift the spotlight from her to you, you begin the process of becoming untouchable. And that's exactly where you want to be. 3. Match her energy without bitterness. One of the biggest mindset shifts a man must learn in modern dating is this. You don't overextend for someone who's pulling back. When a woman distances herself, your job is not to fight the current, but to match her energy, calmly, quietly, and without bitterness. That's where your power lies. Not in anger, not in manipulation, but in emotional self-control. Too many men take a woman's silence personally. They react out of insecurity, ego, or fear of loss. Suddenly they're angry, they're cold, they become sarcastic or passive-aggressive, or worse. They start arguing about how she's changed, accusing her of being fake or ungrateful. All of that is emotional leakage. And all of it makes you look weak. You're showing her that you can't handle pressure, that you can't hold your frame when things shift. That's exactly what pushes her further away. But the man who learns how to match her energy without emotional chaos, that's the man she can't stop thinking about. If she becomes slow to respond, so do you. If she stops calling, you stop calling. If she wants space, give it to her freely. Not with attitude, not with bitterness, just with peace. That's emotional discipline. That's masculinity. Understand this. Women are not repelled by space. They're repelled by insecurity. If she feels like you're reacting because you can't live without her attention, she'll distance herself more. But if she senses that you're unaffected by her silence, she starts to question her own move. She begins to wonder if she miscalculated your value. That curiosity becomes tension. That tension breeds attraction. That's when the dynamic starts shifting in your favor. And don't confuse matching energy with playing games. You're not pretending. You're not acting disinterested when you're really hurting inside. You're being real with yourself. If she's not giving, you stop giving. If she's not showing interest, you step back with dignity. That's not game playing, that's emotional maturity. That's setting a standard for how you expect to be treated. A man who can match energy calmly is rare. He's not needy, he's not angry. He's just aware that he's valuable. aware that he brings something to the table. And if someone doesn't see it right now, that's fine. He's not trying to prove it. He's not begging to be understood. He's simply living by a code. If you want to pull away, I respect that. But I'm not going to chase you down a road I didn't walk you toward. And here's the kicker. When you respond like this, when you calmly mirror her distance, she starts to feel something she didn't expect. Uncertainty. She's no longer sure she has your full attention. She's no longer sure you're waiting. And in that uncertainty, a shift happens. You regain control. So when she distances herself, match her energy. Not with malice, not with fear, but with quiet strength. Let her feel your absence with the same grace she gave her silence. That's how you lead. That's how you win. 4. Let her feel the consequences. Here's what most men never understand. When a woman pulls away or ignores you, you do not need to punish her. You just need to let her feel the natural consequences of her actions. The most powerful men don't react. They respond through absence, through silence, and through elevation. And when done right, this response speaks louder than any emotional outburst ever could. When a woman distances herself and you go quiet, truly quiet, not fake quiet, not waiting in the shadows quiet, but emotionally unavailable and completely detached, that silence is deafening. Women are emotional creatures. They feel things deeply. They notice shifts in energy even when nothing is said. So when a man who once gave her consistent attention suddenly withdraws and disappears from her emotional radar, it hits harder than words ever could. But here's the key. You must let her feel what it's like to live without you. Without your good morning texts, without your late night calls, without your random compliments, your presence, your masculine energy. You don't give her the benefit of your consistency while she's giving you inconsistency. If she's treating you like an option, your response is to remove yourself completely as an option. This isn't about revenge. This is about self-respect. You're teaching her something by how you handle this moment. You're showing her that your time and attention are privileges, not guarantees. And if she wants to take space, fine. But with that space comes the absence of all the things you once provided. She doesn't get to distance herself and still have you checking in, liking her photos, validating her, or staying emotionally available like a safety net. Let her feel your absence like a weight. Let her wonder why you didn't fight. Let her sit in that empty space she created. That's when regret starts to creep in. That's when she starts replaying everything. Not because you guilted her or chased her, but because you quietly walked away and left a void where your value used to be. See, this is the part where most men fold. They wait a few days, then they cave in. They text something soft like, "Hey, just checking in." But what you don't realize is every time you do that, you reset her power. You remind her that she can disappear and still return whenever she wants to a man who's waiting. That's not attractive. That's not respected. Let the consequence of her distance be your absence. If she values you, she'll feel it. If she doesn't, she won't come back. And that's your answer. Either way, you didn't lose anything. Because real power comes when you stop trying to force outcomes and start enforcing standards. So remember this, when she pulls away, you don't chase, you don't beg, you don't get emotional. You simply let her experience life without you in it. And that consequence is the most powerful response you'll ever give. 5. Stop over-explaining yourself. One of the easiest ways a man destroys his power is by constantly feeling the need to explain himself, especially when a woman starts pulling away. You notice she's acting distant, not texting as much, or avoiding your calls, and your first instinct is to ask questions like, "Did I do something wrong?" Or, "Are you mad at me?" Or, "Why are you acting this way?" From there, you might even start pouring out your feelings, trying to prove how much you care or how confused you are. You might think you're being honest, vulnerable, or emotionally mature, but to her it comes off as insecure, anxious, and needy. Let me be clear. When a woman creates distance, it is not your job to chase her down and explain yourself into being loved again. That's not how masculine energy works. That's not how attraction works. Women do not respond to over-explanation. They respond to strength, mystery, and emotional composure. The more you talk, justify, or over-communicate, the more power you give away. You're not supposed to beg someone to see your worth. You're supposed to be so grounded in who you are that their confusion doesn't shake you. This is a hard truth, but men need to hear it. You don't owe anyone a monologue when they start disrespecting your presence. If she pulls back without explanation, you match that energy in silence, not in paragraphs. If she's confused, distant, or indecisive, that's her lane to figure out, not yours to unravel with endless let's talk sessions. When you stop over-explaining, you put the ball back in her court. You give her space to actually feel your absence and process the shift. That's when she starts to question what's happening, and often, that curiosity leads her back to you. Most men think that clarity will bring closure. But in relationships, especially in the early stages or when attraction is unstable, less is often more. You're not building trust by over-talking. You're just giving her more information to devalue you. Let your behavior speak for you. Let your distance mirror hers. Let your silence show her how a high-value man moves when disrespected, confused, or overlooked. And here's the other part. By not over-explaining yourself, you save your dignity. You don't give her the satisfaction of watching you unravel emotionally. You stay in control. You preserve the mystery. And you protect your reputation with her. Women respect men who don't need to explain every emotional reaction. They admire men who can say more with their absence than others do with their words. So next time you feel the urge to send that long text, voice note, or explanation justifying your feelings, pause, think. Ask yourself, does this make me look stronger or weaker? Am I leading with power or panic? 9 times out of 10, silence will say everything you need to say, without making you look like you're begging for clarity that she was never willing to give. 6. Detach from the outcome. Here's a truth that every man must learn if he wants to thrive in the modern dating world. You must detach from the outcome. If you're sitting around wondering, will she come back? Or, what if she never texts again? You're already losing. Why? Because the more emotionally attached you are to her response, the less power you have. The more you chase a specific outcome, the more control she holds over your peace of mind. And that, my brother, is the opposite of strength. When a woman distances herself, the first thing that gets tested isn't your love, it's your ability to let go. Most men want to believe that by doing all the right things, giving space, not chasing, focusing on themselves, that they'll automatically get her back. But that mindset still comes from a place of attachment, and attachment leads to expectation. And when you expect, you begin to react emotionally when things don't go your way. That's when the spiral starts. Doubt, fear, overthinking, and eventually, weakness. Real men learn to master the art of detachment. That means doing what's right without obsessing over what it brings. It means holding your frame and letting go of the fantasy that every woman who walks into your life is supposed to stay. It means being okay with the fact that sometimes people pull away, and that says more about them than it does about you. Detachment is not indifference, it's not coldness, it's emotional discipline. It's the power to say, I wanted this to work, but I'm not going to sacrifice my self-worth to keep it. You can still care. You can still feel the sting of her silence, but you must not let it define your behavior, your mindset, or your energy. This is why detachment is attractive, because women are drawn to men who are in control of themselves. When you're detached, you're unpredictable, not because you're playing games, but because your peace isn't tied to her validation. That unpredictability creates intrigue. It makes her question where she stands. It makes her think about you again, not because you chased her, but because you stopped chasing everything. And here's the irony. Most of the time, when you genuinely detach from the outcome, that's when she starts to return. That's when the silence becomes uncomfortable for her. That's when she starts noticing your absence, your growth, and your lack of emotional dependence. Because you've shown her that you are not a man who needs her to function. You're a man who wanted her but can live without her. That's magnetic. That's strength. So from this moment on, train your mind to accept every outcome, whether she comes back or not. Let go of needing a specific result. Detachment doesn't mean you didn't care. It means you care more about your peace, your growth, and your standards than a single person's attention. Detach from the outcome, and you'll not only gain your power back, you'll become the kind of man that women come back to when it's too late. 7. Move on like she doesn't exist. This is the final and most powerful move you'll ever make when a woman distances herself and ignores you. You move on like she doesn't even exist. Not to play a game, not to make her jealous, but to reclaim your life like a man who doesn't beg for attention, love, or closure. This is how you separate yourself from the average guy, by not letting one woman's emotional shift throw you off your mission. Let's be real. It's hard. You had hopes, you had plans, you invested time. You thought there was something real. But now she's distant, silent, cold. The common man holds on. He waits. He pauses his life, secretly hoping she'll come back. But the uncommon man, he walks away completely, and he does it with his head high and his standards intact. When you move on like she never existed, you're sending a message, not to her, but to yourself. You're telling yourself that you are the man, that no woman has the power to make you question your identity, that your value doesn't drop because someone else couldn't recognize it, that your life continues, with or without her. You don't announce it. You don't post quotes online. You don't try to get her attention through social media stunts or subtle jabs. You simply vanish from her world and reappear bigger in your own. You go ghost from her phone but become loud in your purpose, loud in your focus, loud in your grind. You become that man she eventually hears about, sees doing well, and starts to miss. Not because you chased her, but because you didn't need her. Most women don't believe men can truly walk away. They think you're always waiting, just a few days of silence away from texting her again. They expect the apology. They expect the just checking in. They expect the emotional meltdown. So when you go radio silent, and you stay that way, you shatter her expectations. You become unpredictable. And unpredictable men are the ones women think about when they're alone, wondering if they messed up. And here's the beauty of this move. You win either way. If she comes back, she's returning to a man who didn't fall apart in her absence. If she doesn't come back, you've already elevated past her. Either way, you didn't lose. You just refused to be held emotionally hostage by someone who couldn't give you clarity, consistency, or respect. The point is this: your energy is too valuable to waste on confusion. You're not a backup plan. You're not a placeholder. You're the prize. And if she couldn't see it, that's her loss, not yours. Move on with silence, purpose, and strength. Let your success be louder than any text she ever ignored. From this day forward, no more waiting, no more chasing, no more hoping. You move like a man who's focused, grounded, and untouchable. You move like she never existed, because your life was never dependent on her presence to begin with. When a woman distances herself and ignores you, your response defines everything. You don't chase, you don't beg, you don't lose your frame, you rise, you focus on yourself, match her energy, detach from the outcome, and move forward like she never mattered more than your peace. That's how high-value men operate. Because in the end, it's not about making her come back. It's about showing yourself who you are when someone pulls away. And when you handle it like a king, you either get her respect, her return, or a redirection towards something far better. Either way, you win.